And now let's get to one of the biggest controversial topics in nutrition for the last few years, the low carb, high fat banting topic. Please give me your opinion on that, and don't shoot him.
Okay, it's the primary reason I started writing our book, because people were swinging out to these extreme ends, and some people did actually very well and other people didn't. A lot of people didn't, so I felt moderation was more important. I also didn't find it was anything new, because I was in London around about the turn of the century when Atkins came sweeping through, so a whole load of people, traded in their bread for bacon, and some lost a load of weight, some people didn't. Some people, their cholesterol went down, some people, the cholesterol went up, other people got constipated, other people had good bowel movements, and it was so variable with the response to it. And we learned a lot from those early 2000 periods. So
is there something you can just summarize the difference between the Atkins diet and the low carb, high fat banting diet?
There is a difference. If you read carefully the words of Tim Noakes, they are different in that the banting is more focused on fat. Atkins was more focused on protein. But the layperson, I don't believe, is hearing those differentiations. Because with both diets, they've upgraded their animal protein amount or animal food content.
Why do you think that is?
It's because people just want to hear simple messages. They believe the body is simple and you can make simple changes and get big results. But our body is extremely complex. So you can't just make a shift from your cornflakes to a slab of cheese in some cases and get good results. Now, if you look carefully and with banting, there's some very good healthy choices, and there's a whole load of run-off dietary trends and magazines and books, tons of books now on the low carb paradigm. And some are really, really healthy. And if you think about it, sometimes we'll have inadvertently a low carb meal and it's very, very healthy. If you have, say, a nice big salad at lunchtime, instead of having a piece of bread with that, you just have a nice big sprinkle of seeds and nuts over your salad. There's a low carb meal. So yeah, it's potentially very healthy for you. But it's the way people are viewing it, number one. So they tend to be overdoing the animal protein, and that then gets them into the risk of, everything we've learned through research around high fat consumption, like certain gut issues or cancer issues or heart disease issues. That research hasn't gone away with this new paradigm. So some people are getting themselves into trouble health-wise. And we don't all evolve, we don't all get on well with cutting out the carbs. For example, with my constitution, if I cut out the carbs, I'd start falling down drains. I'm, already slim, and I need that source of energy. But for Tim Noakes, it worked really well for him because he was on the old high carb, low fat paradigm previously to that. He gained weight, he became diabetic, and that helped him stabilize. And a lot of South Africans can benefit from that, but also a lot don't have the constitution for restricting the carbohydrates.
I think it's also a compliance issue. They don't take measure seriously.
Yeah.
Professor Tim Noakes said I can have animal fat, and then they have a lot of animal fat, deep fried.
Not the amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you read Noakes' words carefully, then you'll revise, and it's exactly the same with Atkins. What happened with that was right at the start of the book, there was a 2-week ketogenic approach to try and force the body into higher fat utilization. So you have to start burning your own body fat. And then after that, it starts opening out into a more balanced kind of approach. But people don't go there. They just get stuck into this 2-week thing and keep doing it because that's what produces the fast results.
Right.
But long-term health is a consideration. So there's the theory of what it is and what the scientists have said it should be. There's a compliance around it, but then there's the individuality. Okay, so if everyone followed it to exactly what the scientists believe it should be, it would be a lot better. But still, there's a lot of people that wouldn't do so well on it.
So the compliance is not only restricted to people overdoing fat and cream and butter. You know, it's also got to do with the overconsumption of protein.
Yeah. Banting is not intentionally high protein. It's more focused on high fat. But when you start upping your fat, with more cream and butter and milk and yogurts and cheeses and drovers and biltong and various meats, you bring in animal protein with it. So if people are actually finding a better balance to this, they might consume more plant-based proteins, or fats rather, such as coconut, avocado, nuts and seeds. That improves the health parameters of that diet. But some people, that doesn't suit either. If you go into something like the autoimmune protocol, which I've utilized because I see autoimmune clients, there's how do you do a breakfast without actually having nuts and seeds and dairy and of course grains. They like almost overuse coconut. So somebody can actually struggle with too much coconut consumption. It's about digestibility at the end of the day.
Bringing you back to individual programs for people because we're so unique.
Yeah. When I finished writing our book, the overall feeling I had was it's about individual digestibility. What can one person digest well and another person can't? And some people can break down the heavy animal proteins really, really easily. Other people can have a whole coconut to themselves. Others can't. So it's finding the individual balance for that person.
So learning about the products.
Learning about you. Forget the products. It's about learning about your own physiology and how that interfaces with certain different types of foods.
But anyway, I'd learned that I shouldn't be consuming a whole coconut if I do that.
Yes. You're learning about your body, yes, and how that interacts with that particular food
and how
substance.
I feel on nuts and lots of nuts.
Yes.
So Ian, the most concerning comment that I keep coming across, especially from the medical doctor side, on low carb, high fat diet is the long-term use of that and the concern for colon health, for gut health, and potential cancer issues there.
That's my big concern with these modern diets. And before the banting, it was low fat, high carb. And is fat all bad for you? Well, now we've thrown it on its ear and no, fat is very good for you and carbs are all bad for you. But if you actually break them down, an example I use when I lecture, firstly on carbohydrate, I've got a picture of a head of broccoli, nice big head of broccoli, a medium-sized apple and 2 slices of white bread. And under the macronutrient lens, i.e. when we see carbohydrates in all our food, they're all the same. They're all 25 grams of carbohydrates. But that's not what I see. I see a broccoli head that's full of glucosinolates, which is good for liver health. I see an apple that's full of pectin for gut health. And I see 2 really horrible slices of white bread that is going to probably annihilate your gut health. So we need to start looking at food, not nutrients, or food, not macros. So that's a carbohydrate example. That 2 out of those 3 examples I gave are good carbs. If we go into fat, the research around saturated fat causing colon cancer, that sort of thing, that's not going away because somebody's spoken their mind. But we can have too much of it, or we can get the right amount of it. So it's when we swing from one paradigm to another and suddenly there's too much animal protein in the diet, and somebody's over-focused on the macros, and then they forget to have enough vegetables. Because in none of these diets are vegetables emphasized enough, because that should be the first thing we look at. Mm-hmm. If we don't have enough fiber coming through, we're going to have potentially gut health issues. And it's very easy to pick up for an individual. You just have to ask them about any upper gastrointestinal issues, any heartburn, reflux, bloating, burping, any lower gastrointestinal issues, constipation, how often do they go to the toilet? So should really be 1 to 2 times a day at least. So if somebody's like once a day, but it's a wee bit hard to go, or sometimes they skip a day, that's constipation. Or it could be the other way, they're getting loose stools because they're not eating what works for them. So yeah, there's confusion around this because...
A lot. And I'm here, and I'm confused.
And there should be confusion because we're talking about complex botanicals with complex interactions with our body. So when we try to simplify into, okay, well, these are carbs, these are fats, these are proteins, it doesn't work like that. The body doesn't see these as carbs, proteins, and fats. They see them as individual food entities that have better or worse effects on the body. So the bottom line for me is quite simple, actually. Look at nature-made food and not man-made food. Right? So forgetting the majority of our food, almost all our food, from nature-made sources. We're talking about vegetables, we're talking about fruit, we're talking about animal produce in moderation, but not large quantities. That's kind of what we need. Some nuts and seeds thrown in, some grains are not suddenly bad for us, but we need to be discerning with the grains. That's a diet. But when we start actually translating, say, the grains into a breakfast cereal that's very refined or poor quality bread, then yes, it's bad for us, mostly, if we have too much.
So in your opinion, you will not throw away any food group?
No.
Because they're not really a food group anymore, in your opinion. But
no,
I think we understand each other. They're blurry, but it's still within your understanding originally of food group. You wouldn't just throw it out.
No, you can't just suddenly...
Or
no,
you won't.
You
so
can't.
What about vegetarians wanting to throw out all animal products?
I respect them. I'll take my hat off and say you've made a very regal choice there. But they have to know what they're doing. It's my belief that, and many others, that we're omnivores. We eat both. Our teeth are that way formed. Our gut is that way formed. We're not canines with a short gut and sharp teeth, and we're not like sheep with big chunky teeth for grinding down grass and very long gastrointestinal tracts. We're somewhere in between. So we can do both, but if we overdo the plant matter, we can't digest it. If we overdo the meat matter, we can't digest that either. So that's my basis, and some people can eat more meat and some people can eat more plant. And that's the individuality that we need to suss out. So if you're a true potential vegetarian or vegan, you can eat more plant. And that's great. You can probably extract more of the protein out of plant protein sources than somebody who, really is designed to eat more meat. But they need to know where to get that protein from.
I think it's important to just say here that there are so many really unhealthy vegetarians.
Yes.
Because they don't know what to eat. So they just eat bread, and whatever they put on their bread. It doesn't mean it's wholesome. It's not optimum nutrition. You can't just throw away the meat and not replace it with something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can put avo on.
Yeah, just follow the same poor quality diet they did before and
just
drop
take out the meat.
Drop
exactly.
the meat.
That's a big concern for me. So it's looking at raw juice. It's looking at smoothies. It's looking at berries and nuts and seeds and legumes
and grains.
And grains.
There's a concept called protein combining that I believe all vegetarians and vegans need to know about. So if you're doing especially vegans, vegetarians will get their proteins from dairy. But vegans need to know this, and it's like combining a legume with a grain. That's one form of protein combining. So look at the Indian cuisine of lentils and rice. That's a protein combining, and a big portion of the population in India are vegetarian. And then it could be something like beans on toast. It's like another old thing that will give you a full protein count. So it's not just chasing soya and chasing hemp seeds and thinking you get enough from spirulina powder. It's actually what are the big food items that you're having day to day that's going to provide you with that protein.
Ian, with banting being such a big issue, I'm going to have to ask you to please just come back for one last question.
Sure.
I'm concerned about readers banting and thinking they're doing the right thing, ignoring their bodies and what it's telling them and certain symptoms that they may experience as a detox symptom, or letting go of old way and moving into this new phase. What are the red flags? What do people need to look out for when they are banting that could show them that they're maybe not on the right path, either because it's the wrong type of diet for them as an individual, or because they're not really following it, not understanding the differences between the fats and the different carbohydrates, and not having it in measure? What are the red flags?
Okay, you actually answered it already by listening to their body. So if you really listen to your body, it's got a lot to tell you. If you do this change of dietary approach and you feel better and your energy's up and your weight's slimming down and you feel you get better energy management or stability through the day, then you've made some good positive changes. So banting aside, it's what were you doing before? What are you doing now? Is it a healthier approach for your body, and do you feel better?
And why you started it in the first place?
You need to be focused on where are you trying to go with this thing? Yeah, why did you do it? Is it just a weight thing? Or are you concerned about your blood sugar or family history of diabetes or some gut issues? But when you haven't interpreted the information correctly, or it's not right for your body, and you've got the, say, animal protein and plant balance out of balance for you, look at things like energy dropping down, constipation is a very, very common one, just feeling sluggish, feeling toxic, feeling like you've got a constant dull headache or intermittent headaches, or some blurry, or memory's not so good as it was, that sort of thing. Anything that is worse now than it was before you started it. You may have depending on what you did, you may have a bit of a detox built into it. So fair enough, you might have a rocky few weeks, but it should stabilize in a better place than what it was. Another thing is with the points for your medical aid schemes, getting a cholesterol and a blood glucose check every 6 months or a year. A lot of people know what their cholesterol is. Is it better? Is it worse? Is your blood sugar better? Is it worse? If it is better, reflect on what you've done and what's been good about that, and maybe what's been not so good about it, and keep adjusting. If it's worse, what did you change that made it worse? So it's not just, this is what you start to do it with, this is what you finish. It's not two approaches. It's look at individually, what did you change in your diet? Forget the banting side. Forget the diet labels you put on what you did. It's what did you do? What made you feel better? What made you feel worse?
Right.